Should you buy the ZV-E10 Mark II? Yeah, but there's some things you should know first. You're probably wondering, where is the Mark II? And I actually have it on the tripod because I'm filming with it. I didn't want to be one of those guys that talks about a $800 to $1,000 camera, but then shoots the entire video with a $5,000 camera. Like, I get it. Sometimes you need to use other equipment in your studio or in your work area. So I've had this camera for about a year now. And honestly, it's probably the best camera that I've owned, but that's also just because I'm a beginner, man. I started out with the ZV-1F, moved to the ZV-E10, and now I'm on the Mark II. And honestly, I'm not gonna hold you guys. I probably will be upgrading pretty soon. I'm not gonna sit here and say this is my dream camera, that I'm gonna use this to the end of time, and that this is the best camera that Sony's ever made, all that stuff. Like, this is an honest review of what has essentially been my best friend for the past year. But at the same time, even our friends have flaws, and that's okay. Right now on Amazon, you can get the ZV-E10 Mark II for about $1,100, but that's the body only. Now, when I got this, it was actually $999, but I mean, tariffs, it just shot everything up. It is what it is. You can also get it with a kit lens, and that comes at $1,198, so about 1,200 bucks. Again, price increase. But I will say the kit lens that comes with this camera is actually an improved 16 to 50 millimeter lens compared to the older one that Sony was offering. So it is a pretty decent lens for the price. And if you're a beginner like I was, that is definitely something you should start out with. I get it, I'm a YouTuber, so I may be hurting my retention here, but I'm just gonna be brutally honest with you. For the people who wanna know what the major flaws are with this camera and then just want to go ahead and click off, and then you're going to make your decision already, here it is. No IBIS, in other words, no in-body image stabilization, and there's no mechanical shutter. So those are two big features that this camera does not have. And if you need mechanical shutter, if you're going to be doing photography, if you want to have a hybrid camera, then you may want to look at other options. And if IBIS is important to you, if you need good stabilization, again, you might want to look at other options. And for those who are still watching this video, there is an other issue with this camera, and it is the rolling shutter, but I'm not really including it with those two big missing features, just because other cameras don't have that as well in this price range. Also, the little brother of this camera, the original ZV-E10, also had a rolling shutter issue. So it's honestly like, you're gonna get what you pay for in that type of scenario, and I'm just gonna be real with you on that. So having no IBIS, that is a pretty big deal to me, but I've been able to get over that just because I use this camera on a tripod fairly often, like about 90% of the time. And if your footage really is just that shaky and you need some quick handheld footage and it's just all over the place, there's a lot of programs now that have really good stabilization with the AI functions built in. So there are ways to get around it, but I'm not gonna lie to you, for the people who complain about this, I'm right there with them, because this is a video-centric camera. This is made and targeted towards vloggers. This is made towards content creators. And not having that stabilization is kind of head-scratching, because when you're a vlogger, you kind of need that. Like, this is the target demographic. And this camera, I think, came out at $400 to $500 more than what the original ZV-E10 was. I could be wrong on that. And this is before tariffs. So if you're gonna have a camera that's already $400 more than the original, and even that camera was also targeted towards vloggers and content creators, it seems like maybe IBIS should have been in the big brother in the successor, but it isn't. There's ways to get around it, like I mentioned, but it's still kind of weird. Mechanical shutter is something else that I feel like I can get away with, and it honestly just comes down to a lot of the photography I do is portraits, It's not really movement, and I can kind of get away with it. Would it be amazing to have? Sure. And you know what's also another head scratcher? The original ZV-E10 had a mechanical shutter. So again, kind of weird that they didn't add that to the successor when it cost about $400 more. And even now it's more because of the tariffs. So again, really weird. It features the same 26 megapixel CMOS sensor as the A6700 and the FX30. The FX30 is basically the budget line cinema cam from Sony, so that is so cool that they have the same sensor. Now, I will say though, it doesn't have dual base ISO, which both the A6700 and the FX30 do. So the low light is going to be depending on your situations when it comes to this camera. It features a larger grip, so the camera is overall easier to hold, and it also houses the updated batteries, the FZ100. And let me tell you, that is a big deal because the original ZV-E10, the battery life was pretty bad. With this camera, it's pretty awesome, man. I can record multiple videos on a single charge. And on top of that, I went away for about 11 days on a trip, and I had left this camera at about 85% and came back to it, and the standby time is awesome. Just being able to turn it on, it's still at 80%. Like this battery is a welcome change, and I'm happy that it has the updated batteries that the newer Sony cameras do. And one of my favorite upgrades over the original ZV-E10 is the fact that you can get 4K 10-bit footage out of this. It also uses the same mic and audio processing of the ZV-E1, and it features LUT support. And that's a huge deal when you want to save time on editing and just get the look that you want right out of the camera. And you can shoot 4K 24, 4K 30, and 4K 60 for slow motion, but the 4K 60 is going to have a 1.5 times crop. So there is a lot of good with this camera. You can get really good footage. You can get raw photos out of this. It has a really good battery for, I don't want to promise all day shooting, but you can get multiple projects done on a single charge, at least when it comes to my experience. And I can't gush over the quality of this footage enough. Like, it is awesome. The fact that it houses the same sensor as the FX30 is amazing. But like I said, there's no dual base ISO, so the low light can be kind of questionable on this camera, again, depending on your situations. In fact, I actually want to do something to help people who are looking to buy a camera. If you're a beginner like I was, and you have $1,000 to spend, or actually it's more than that, but if you have around $1,000 to spend, I want you to be aware of something. My footage looks like this because of lighting, framing. Now I'm gonna go ahead and just show you guys what this camera looks like if you're just using the regular lights that you have in your house. So I just turned the lights on in my house, and this is what it looks like. And this is what happened to me when I thought, hey, that camera is so awesome, I can get good cinematic footage. And then, as you can see, these were the results that I got. But hey, maybe you're a streamer, maybe you already got like an Elgato key light, or maybe you got something from Amaran. Either way, I'll show you what that looks like right now. So not too bad, but you really just have to practice with your camera. You have to practice angles, you have to practice lighting if you really do want to get footage that you're seeing on YouTube with other creators. All right, now we're back. So using this camera for a year has been really fun. I've gotten a lot of good photos, a lot of good videos, and I've made a lot of good memories out of this. In fact, when I had the original ZV-E10, that was kind of like my own journey. But my girlfriend and I have both fallen in love with photography, and she used to be a photographer, but now she's gotten back into it. And I just love shooting videos and really trying to practice my videography. And we both kind of fell in love with those passions with this camera. So the Mark II has left me with a lot of memories, but at the end of the day, it doesn't have an EVF, which is the viewfinder, and it doesn't have IBIS, it doesn't have a mechanical shutter, it doesn't have 4K 120, which is becoming, I don't want to say standard, but there's even cameras, specifically action cameras, that cost $300 that feature that. It also doesn't have weather sealing. It doesn't even have the newest AI chips that a lot of the newer Sony cameras have for real-time autofocus and just real good subject detection. So there's a lot missing from this camera, and you're spending about $1,200 on it, especially if you get the kit lens option. And if you're already gonna spend $1,100 to $1,200 on this, you honestly could just maybe save up an extra month or two and then get the Sony a6700 because that features pretty much everything that I just listed. It is quite literally the big brother to the big brother, and it has pretty much every feature you would probably want in a camera. Some people have called it the ultimate hybrid. People have debated about that since it isn't a full frame camera, but regardless, it's hard to really argue with the features. And a lot of the features that that camera has for $1,400, this one is missing, and it's priced at around $1,200. So, you really have to decide there. Now, if I was a beginner and I was starting out, I honestly wouldn't even buy this camera. I would probably get the ZV-E10. And that is because it's cheaper. I think it may have been impacted by tariffs as well, but regardless, it still is a cheaper option. And I would just say use that if you're tired of using your phone. But if you are in the $1,000 range of spending and that is your budget, there is the a6700, which I would just say to get that. But that doesn't mean I hate the ZV-E10 Mark II. That doesn't mean I didn't have the best of times with it. It is honestly a fun camera that was able to produce high quality footage, and I was even able to get some really good pictures out of it. In fact, let me go ahead and show you those right now. So not bad, right? Like, for not having a mechanical shutter and for not being marketed as the camera for photography, it does still produce really good photos, especially if you shoot in RAW and then you can edit those photos later. If you really want to spend $1,000 or $1,200 to really get that 4K footage, but you don't want to save up the extra $200 to $300 for the a6700, then my option to you would honestly be to get the camera body, which is priced at $1,098, right? And then get yourself a Viltrox lens. Get yourself like a 15mm or a 20mm f1.7. That's what I'm using right now, and the quality is awesome. And real quick before we get out of here, I'll just go ahead and list my settings. I'll probably do it on the screen, that way you guys can see everything and pause it and just copy that down. I shoot in 4K 24. I use the doubling rule, so that'd be 1/50, and my ISO is kept always at 800, and I usually shoot at the lowest aperture, which means that my lens is f1.7, so I shoot at f1.7. I also use S-Log3, so the video will be flat whenever you put it onto your computer, but then you can use conversion LUTs and creative LUTs to get footage that is awesome. Currently, right now, I'm using Gakuyen's preset or power grade pack, so I'll go ahead and link that down below in the description. Shout out to Gaku, makes awesome cinematic videos and just tutorials on editing as well. So those are my settings, and that's how I can get the footage that you've seen throughout this video. But anyways, let me know what you think of the ZV-E10 Mark II. If you own it, do you enjoy it? Do you like it? Are you gonna upgrade? And if you don't own it, what other cameras are you using in the price range? That way I can just check them out myself, or the people in the comment section can check them out as well. But as always, thank you guys for checking this out, and thank you guys for tuning in. Like this video and subscribe. It really does help the channel, and I will talk to y'all next time.